Okay, so what can we expect for landlords in the new year? Will it be renewed optimism? Well, we hope so. 2017 wasn't terribly kind to buy-to-let investors, but it continued to deliver competitive returns. But what's around the corner? Here's the top 5 things I think we can expect in 2018. So number 1, PRA rules. So 2017 brought about important changes for buy-to-let as a result of 2 rounds of Prudential Regulation Authority, so the PRA rule implementations. Stricter affordability rules have resulted in some investors being unable to borrow the amounts they need, whilst landlords owning 4 or more properties are subject to more rigorous underwriting procedures. And this looks set to continue into 2018, which means seeking the very best advice is even more imperative than before. So be sure that however you identify a mortgage, you have looked in detail at all of the options. Don't just go to your own bank or only look at a lender that you used before or compare only a couple of lenders. It is possible that in doing so you could pay more than necessarily on monthly repayments. And if you own 4 or more properties, be prepared to provide more details about your portfolio and finances than you may have done in the past. And if you're in a hurry to complete, notify your broker or lender and be clear whether the deadline can actually be met. 2. Changes in the letting industry. At the time of filming, the government is pressing on with its intention to ban letting agent fees. And the tenant fee bill is designed to not only reduce tenant costs by banning letting agent fees, but to improve transparency and prevent agents from double charging landlords and tenants for the same services. However, a number of points are still being debated, including putting a limit of 6 weeks rent on security deposits and 1 week's rent on holding deposits, while the process for the return of the holding deposit to the tenant remains undefined at the time of filming. Landlords will be keen to monitor news on this bill, particularly given the widespread concerns that letting agents could simply pass on their loss of revenue streams to the landlords through higher charges or reduce the work that they undertake whilst managing rental properties. Number 3, it's longer tenancy agreements. So back in the autumn of 2017, Sajid Javid, the Community Secretary, announced that the government supported the concept of longer tenancy agreements. And this point was further endorsed by Phil Hammond's autumn budget in November, where it was announced that the government was investigating ways to incentivise landlords to offer 12-month tenancies to tenants who wanted them. So longer tenancy agreements may be a double-edged sword for landlords. On the one hand, longer tenancies offer greater security as they reduce the risk of periods when the property is unoccupied and not generating rent during the course of the year. Such times can be costly, and it can be expensive to go through the process of finding a new tenant, as we all know. However, if either party is unhappy, if either party is unhappy, particularly at the beginning of the relationship with a new tenant, a 12-month tenancy agreement, it can be less attractive. And furthermore, if a landlord's financial situation changes, for example, if mortgage rates increased and the monthly payments went up, it may be contractually tricky to increase rent within the time parameters set by a longer tenancy agreement. But do bear in mind that buy-to-let lenders sometimes have rules around the lengths of tenancies landlords can offer. So if you're considering offering a long tenancy period, don't forget, check that it does not conflict with your mortgage terms. So number 4, further interest rate charges. Are they going to go up? Months of speculation came to a head in November 2017 when the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee increased the base rate by 0.25% to 0.5%, its first such rise in a decade. And this proved a catalyst for a number of lenders to increase mortgage interest rates, and suddenly a number of borrowers found they had to spend extra money on their monthly mortgage repayments. The Bank of England have already indicated that the rate of inflation, which reached a high of 3% in September, was a big contributory factor in any decision to increase the base rate. With the MPC suggesting inflation could continue to rise during 2018, who knows where this is going to end. So are we going to get further hikes in 2018? Personally, I think we are, yes. 5, getting the maths right in 2018. Tax changes to the buy-to-let industry continue to affect landlords, and 2018 will see more pressure put on finances as the next phase of reduction in tax relief comes into play. Mortgage interest tax relief is gradually reducing to 20% by 2020. In April, this means a drop of 25% to 50% relief for the tax year 2018 and 19. Be prepared. Seek professional tax advice. If you're unclear on your position, call us if you need to find a harder working buy-to-let mortgage solution. So, conclusion. The new year is often a time for reflection, and there has been plenty to look back at and contemplate for buy-to-let landlords, but it's equally important to look ahead. In the wake of so much change in 2017, some landlords have decided to incorporate their property businesses and some have decided to leave the market altogether. But now is a good time for landlords to take stock of their businesses and to establish what they want to achieve in 2018. The changes to the buy-to-let industry has been significant, but landlords have a tendency to adapt and have enjoyed healthy returns by doing their maths right. So as the industry enters 2018, the high demand for rental property is a good cause for optimism. So here's to 2018 and have a great new year.